Ria TV, True FM.
Ria TV, True FM.
On Ria TV,
into True FM 96.1.
What's the meaning of the black barrier?
The black barrier is to tell Joseph Boakale, if you don't organize yourself in a grateful manner, we'll take your later.
You might say what you want to say, but for us, we are here to make sure we build our country, that we are respected. We have donors that are coming because of the confidence.
News Summary of 12. My name is Hansen Der Represent. Welcome to News and Analysis 30 minutes of news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and our one world.
Presenting this newscast is proudly sponsored by Orange Liberia and EcoBank Liberia Limited.
How is life after the presidency?
But before the presidency, the same life, that's what you see. I live a different life. You know, when I was not president, this life, that's what I live, you know, with my family and
I have a lot of interest in the health sector, the educational sector, and the agriculture sector. Both connecting those industries.
We are calling international community to come to intervene for us because, like I just stated previously, we don't know who to trust.
Always make sure to turn on to our
Ria TV and listening to True FM 96.
From Painesville, welcome to News Dex on Truth 96.1 FM. Today is Wednesday, November 27, 2024. My name is Marka Davis, anchoring this presentation. In the headlines, following heated argument on Wednesday, Supreme Court reserves ruling into the petition filed by embattled House Speaker Naketa challenging his removal without due process. Dr. Jerry Kula, Vice President of the School of Graduate and Professional Studies of the United Methodist University, challenges his suspension by the presiding bishop of the United Methodist Church as action to silence critical voices in the church. Former presidential candidate Tiawan Gonglo disagrees with President Joseph Boakai on his statement that the impasse in the House of Representatives is a normal legislative process, says the statement exposes President Boakai's participation in the conflict. And out of Liberia, incoming World Health Organization Regional Director for Africa dies at age 55, just 3 months to his takeover. Well, the details of these developments, including the bulletin of news, voices of the newsmakers, sports, are all part of this presentation of News Dex. We're taking a short break to be back.
Ria TV, True FM.
Ria TV, True FM.
On Ria TV,
into True FM 96.1.
Well, thanks for rejoining us. Let's recognize our sponsors, Orange Liberia and EcoBank Liberia Limited. Up next is the bulletin of news with Naketa Roberts.
The Supreme Court has reserved its ruling into the petition filed by the embattled House Speaker Naketa regarding his removal without due process. This followed Wednesday's legal argument between the petitioner and respondent lawyer, which was characterized by claims and counterclaims with the objective of convincing the justices of the High Court. Petitioner's lawyer, Councillor Arthur Johnson, according to RCI judicial correspondent, told the court that the majority block's action to conduct a separate session and by removing the speaker without due process violates several provisions of the 1986 Constitution and wanted the court to undo their action. But the respondent's lawyer, Councillor Vani Sharma, rejected the petitioner lawyer's account, saying the majority block decision was consistent with law. The embattled House Speaker petition questioned his colleague's decision, saying it is not consistent with the Constitution. Following the legal argument on Wednesday, the Supreme Court reserved its ruling as the public awaits the outcome of the matter. Former presidential candidate and renowned Liberian lawyer Councillor Tewon Gongo has disagreed with Liberia President Joseph Boakai on his statement that the impasse in the House of Representatives is a normal legislative process. President Boakai made the assertion recently in Kenema, Sierra Leone, urging Liberians abroad not to worry about what is happening back home. Councillor Gongo said he respects the president, but his statement was ill-advised, something he noted has exposed the president's participation in the conflict in the House of Representatives. He stated that the president should have rather worked with Speaker Fonati Kofa, who is the legitimate president that's presiding of the House, instead of dealing with the unconstitutional majority bloc. The political leader of the Liberian People's Party said to show that President Boakai had no involvement in the conflict, he should have taken administrative actions against the cabinet members who appeared before the majority bloc by suspending them if he was not aware of their decisions. At the same time, Councillor Tewon Gogo has dismissed claims that an attempt by the Supreme Court to intervene in the ongoing crisis at the House of Representatives will amount to interference into legislative affairs. Speaking Wednesday on the Truth Breakfast show, Councillor Gongo said the only institution on Article 65, 66, and Article 2 of the Constitution that has the authority to review administrative, constitutional, and other legal matters is the Supreme Court. He noted that over the years, especially from 2007, the Supreme Court has been speaking about the boundaries of legislative powers in terms of the Constitution, citing the Snow, Taylor, Maryborough, and as the Yenibo and other cases. In another development, international award-winning human rights lawyer Councillor Tewon Gongo has condemned the alleged action of executive branch of government by extraditing a Guinean national who was seeking refuge in Liberia. Ibrahim Khalid Sharif was arrested in September by Liberian authority and detained for alleged plotting to overthrow the government of Guinea. He was later reported missing from jail, a situation his lawyer termed as kidnap. Councillor Gongo said the action of the government by illegally taking him from prison and sending him back to Guinea amounts to violation of international laws, especially under the doctrine of non-refoulement, which calls for member states to protect people seeking refuge in their countries. In an angry tone, Councillor Tewon Gongo listed that similar events happened during the time of the late President Tobo when he sent back a Guinean fugitive, while former President Weah also extradited a Sierra Leonean police commander seeking refuge in Liberia, and now the Boakai administration is repeating the scene. He said Liberian leaders seem to forget the role the country played in war when it comes to freedom and the signing of several treaties to protect and defend human rights. The renowned Liberian human rights lawyer said for more than 50 years, no Liberians seeking refuge in neighboring countries have been extradited, naming people like Charles Taylor, Prince Johnson, the late General Kuampa, and others who sought refuge in Ivory Coast, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and other countries. Councillor Gongo spoke Wednesday on the Truth Breakfast show. The vice president of the School of Graduate and Professional Studies at the United Methodist University, Dr. Jerry Kula, has challenged his suspension by the presiding bishop of the United Methodist Church. Dr. Jerry Kula describes his suspension as illegal and only intended to silence individuals who are preaching against same-sex marriage in the United Methodist Church. Dr. Kula, who was recently suspended from all ministerial functions, including teaching, counseling, preaching, and making representation on behalf of the United Methodist Church, University, and Liberia Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church for alleged misconduct against the Book of Discipline. According to the suspension letter, the action against Bishop Jerry Kula is based on a letter of complaint filed against him by the interim church council on allegations of misconduct, which goes against the Book of Discipline. Speaking at a press conference in Monrovia, Dr. Jerry Kula said that the presiding bishop of the United Methodist Church, Samuel Court, action to suspend him and others is a scare tactics to silence critical voices in the United Methodist Church who are preaching against same-sex marriage and the regionalization plan. The United Methodist Parish maintained that he remained an active elder in the church, adding that Bishop Samuel Court has no authority to prevent him from preaching. At the same time, Dr. Kula termed the suspension of several professors, including himself at the Graduate School of Professional Studies, as total setback to the institution. In an effort to enlighten farmers in carrying out large agricultural activities, the Cooperative Development Agency has kicked off a 2-day refresher training in Painesville. The training, according to the CDA Registrar General Lopu Kanakai, is intended to build the capacity of its central and field staff to get on par with their counterparts in other countries. Speaking Wednesday at the opening of the training in Painesville, Madam Kanakai underscored the importance of conducting a routine refresher training for CDA staff, noting it will harness their capacity in training others. She further stressed that the training is intended to motivate farmers in being proactive and forming cooperatives among themselves. Giving the overview of the training earlier, CDA Director of Training, Boston Clark, noted that the training seeks to highlight the historical perspective of cooperative, the basic steps in forming cooperatives, good governance, among others. According to him, the training will enable farmers-based organization and staff to be effective in training others, thus giving them a broader idea on their CSA standing order, administrative procedures, and gender mistraining. Representative Small Mobile is calling on his colleagues to distance themselves from what is being referred to as legislative project. The Montserrado County District 3 representative said the legislative project is only intended to promote the executive branch of government, but not the interests of individual lawmakers. Speaking on state radio on Wednesday, Representative Mobile argued that the project is just in the name of the legislature, but individual lawmakers have no direct control over the execution. According to him, monies allocated in the budget for those projects are not being managed and controlled by individual lawmakers, but instead local county leadership and the Liberia Agency for Community Empowerment. He is therefore calling on lawmakers to stop getting involved into the implementation of the legislative projects. A resident of Sikhi community in Dupero, Bless Harris, is calling on parents to keep their children off the street on that's November 29 holiday to avoid shedding tears. Miss Harris and thus lamented that God specifically told her that the devil has planned accidents, drowning on beaches, children going missing, and other forms of problems aimed at frustrating parents this coming November 29. She disclosed that God told her she will run mad if she fails to explain the revelation to the country. She spoke with the station on Wednesday. A prominent Liberian businesswoman, Madam Victoria Kwemba, commonly known as China Queen, has donated 1,400 pieces of reflective jackets to the Liberian National Police. Making the donation on Wednesday at the police headquarters in Monrovia, Madam Victoria Kwemba narrated that her move was based on the fact that she, as a businesswoman, had been to other countries and has seen how unique other countries' police look. So she thought to buttress government efforts in her own little way. Receiving the donation, that's Police IG Gregory Comer thanked Madam Kwemba for the gesture and pledged the LNP willingness to do business with her in the interest of the country. The Assistant Town Chief of Fono in Sopot Klein, Pokpa District, Grand Cape County, Sekou Kroman, is calling on the Liberian government to provide working tools for local farmers, emphasizing the need for rain boots, colices, wheelbarrows, shovels, and other essential tools to support the farmers. Kurma highlighted that the lack of these tools have caused a stoppage in project work within the community. Kurma made the appeals during a farmer union meeting in Bambala town on Tuesday. And away from Liberia, the incoming regional director of the World Health Organization in Africa, Tanzania's Dr. Faustin Duzunad, has died just 3 months after he was elected to the position. Duzulid, a 55-year-old lawmaker and a medical doctor, died on Wednesday morning in India while undergoing treatment, Tanzania's Speaker of Parliament said. He is known for having stood up to President John Magufuli at the height of the COVID pandemic in 2020 when he served as Deputy Health Minister. In August this year, he was elected as the WHO regional head to take over from Botswana's Dr. Mashidusu Mita, who has served 2 5-year terms. He was due to assume the role in February next year. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus said he was shocked and deeply saddened by Dr. Faustin's death. Thus, the bulletin of news is back to you, Maka.
Ria TV, True FM.
Ria TV, True FM.
On Ria TV, into Truth FM 96.1.
What's the meaning of the black barrier? The black barrier is to tell Joseph Bakala if you don't organize yourself in a grateful manner, we'll take your data like
You might say what you want to say, but for us, we are here to make sure we build our country, that we are respected. We have donors that are coming because of the confidence.
Some news summary of 12. My name is Hansen the Represent. Welcome to News and Analysis 30 minutes of news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and our one world.
Presenting this newscast is proudly sponsored by Orange Liberia and
to Naketa Roberts for bringing us the news bulletin tonight. It is a regular feature here on News Dex. If you're just joining us, you are listening to 45 minutes of news from Liberia and other parts of the world. The top stories we are following tonight: following heated legal arguments on Wednesday, Supreme Court reserves ruling into the petition filed by the embattled House Speaker for Naketa, challenging his removal without due process. United Methodist University Vice President Dr. Jerry Kula challenges his recent suspension by the presiding bishop of the United Methodist Church, stressing the action is intended to silence critical voices against same-sex marriage in the church. Former presidential candidate Tiawan Gonglo disagrees with President Joseph Boakai on his recent statement that the impasse in the House of Representatives is a normal legislative process. Says the statement exposes President Boakai's participation in the conflict. And of the home front, incoming World Health Organization Regional Director for Africa dies at age 55. Just 3 months after his election to the position. Let's bring you the voices of those making the news. Former presidential candidate and renowned Liberian lawyer, Councillor Tiawan Gonglo, has disagreed with President Joseph Boakai on his statement that the impasse in the House of Representatives is a normal legislative process. President Boakai made the assertion recently in Kenema, Sierra Leone, urging Liberians abroad not to worry about what is happening back home. But Councillor Gonglo said he respects the president, but his statement was ill-advised, something he noted has opposed the president's participation in the conflict at the House of Representatives.
I respect the president, but I respectfully disagree with him. It was ill-advised. And I believe that because that statement was ill-advised, he started dealing with the majority of bloc, which in my view, that was a real participation in the conflict, because he should have just dealt with his speaker who had not been removed. because you cannot decide anything internally there. He got himself involved in a conflict by allowing officials to appear. The best thing to have done was, if the officials appear without his authority, was to suspend it even after 1 day, take some action to show that the law is superior to politics. The supremacy of the law is what brings stability. So, on all conditions, and I mean in the schools, I teach a course in the law school called Law and Politics. Last semester, it was the largest class at the law school. And my students are experts on law and politics. The tenure issue, presidential immunity, separation of powers, all of that are things that, my students are experts on right now. So we all conclude at the end of the day that politics is subordinate to law. And for stability, for peace and progress in any society, the supremacy of the law must be respected by all officials and citizens of the country.
At the same time, Councillor Gonglo has dismissed claims that an attempt by the Supreme Court to intervene in the ongoing crisis in the House of Representatives will amount to interference into legislative affairs. Speaking Wednesday on the Truth Breakfast show, Councillor Gonglo said the only institution under Articles 65, 66, and Article 2 of the Constitution that has the authority to review administrative, constitutional, and other legal matters is the Supreme Court.
When somebody raises a constitutional issue, it's not interference. What they do on the floor, how they vote, is not something for the court to decide. Their internal maneuvering, even some of the things they are saying, COFA is involved in conflict of interest, taking money, doing that. That's the internal problem. They can deal with it internally. That's not for the court to deal with. But what the law provides for the legislative process is something that the court can speak about, and it is not interference. Because the only institution under Article 65, 66, Article 2 that has the power to review every action in this country is the Supreme Court, whether administrative, whether constitutional, legal, whatever, for stability. Otherwise, people will be arbitrary. Without a court, arbitrariness will prevail. So that is not interference. But it's good to raise that issue, because then when the court decides, at least the next legislature or even this one will say, the last time we raised the thing, this is what the court said. But I'm surprised, because from 2007 to now, the court has really been speaking about the boundaries of legislative power when it comes to the Constitution. The court did so in Snow case, the court did so in Miracle case, in John Bono case, as in Yanamo case, in which the Supreme Court said, or they said, okay, so we don't have the same thing like this. They said we don't have enough votes to remove Yanamo as president pro tempore. So you know what we'll do? Since we are 13 senators, we need 20 senators, we need 13. The law didn't talk about suspension. Let's just suspend Yanamo. So they suspended him. Yanamo and his party, the NDP, have filed prohibition. And the Supreme Court granted that prohibition. In that opinion, the Supreme Court said, what is suspension? The Supreme Court went to Myean Webster Dictionary and said suspension is removal from office for a limited period. Then the Supreme Court concluded for that removal. So the Supreme Court said what the 13 members of the Senate did was unconstitutional because they don't have authority to remove.
Well, in another development, international award-winning human rights lawyer, Councillor Tiawan Gonglo, has condemned the alleged action of the executive branch of government by extraditing a Guinean national who was seeking refuge in Liberia. Ibrahim Khalif Sharif was arrested in September by Liberian authorities and detained for allegedly plotting to overthrow the government of Guinea. He was later reported missing from jail, a situation his lawyer termed as kidnap. Councillor Gonglo said the action of the government by illegally taking him from prison and sending him back to Guinea amounts to violation of international laws, especially under the doctrine of non-refoulement, which calls for member states to protect people seeking refuge in their countries.
An international award-winning human rights law. I am so angry about the fact that a Guinean that was in our jail was illegally taken from jail by members of the executive, by the executive branch of government, and sent to Guinea. That is a violation of international law, the doctrine of non-refoulement, that when somebody runs to your country in refuge, you will not send that person back. It is wrong. I don't know why Liberia does this. It happened on October. One man came here, Jaga City wanted the person, and then Thomas said, oh, I hope I said the person you're not killing. What I heard was that when the man went to kill him, last year, police chief came here, they just took the man, without any legal process, took him back on a government. Then this government did this thing. People forget. If people in government knows what Liberia means in this world, they will not be taking arbitrary action. Yeah, we are founding member of the United Nations. We are original signatory of the United Nations Charter. We are original signatory of the Universal Declaration on the day was adopted on December 10, 1948. Liberia was there. And we are signatory to different conventions of the United Nations. We are one of the two countries that were member of the League of Nations 1920 after the Treaty of Versailles. This country here that want to put Jordan away, they are here supposed to Guinea will attack Liberia. Guinea will never attack Liberia. I know it for a fact that action of the government is unjustifiable, is illegal, is condemnable, and everybody should condemn it. No country in this region has ever sent any political fugitive back to Liberia. What's wrong with us? Otherwise, Taylor, Green Johnson, all the people in the Africa will have been sent back. Do want to Guinea and never send them back. Nobody will in Freetown, nobody send them back. No country in this sub-region for the past 50 years in the independence of the country in this sub-region had ever sent a great fugitive back in this country. Why are we doing the opposite?
Councillor Tiawan Gonglo, a Liberian lawyer there, speaking today on the Truth Breakfast Show. The Vice President of the School of Graduate and Professional Studies at the United Methodist University, Dr. Jerry Kula, has challenged his suspension by the presiding bishop of the United Methodist Church. Dr. Jerry Kula described his suspension as illegal and only intended to silence individuals who are preaching against same-sex marriage in the church. Dr. Kula was recently suspended from all ministerial functions, including teaching, counseling, preaching, and making representation on behalf of the United Methodist University and the Liberia Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church for alleged misconduct against the Book of Discipline. While speaking at a news conference on Wednesday in Monrovia, Dr. Kula said the presiding bishop of the United Methodist Church, Samuel Quayer's action to suspend him and others is the scare tactics to silence critical voices in the church against the same-sex marriage and the regionalization plan.
I'm not supposed to same-sex marriage, and I don't want to be on my watch. No pastor will do that. If you don't do the thing you're not supposed to same-sex marriage, then why are you telling us to endorse it? But friend, if you think you go, you endorse it. So if we endorse it, then we are part of adolescents and by association. So the people know we cannot endorse this thing. So this is the underlying factor for my suspension. But I want to tell the bishop today, and all the members listening to me, that the action of the bishop is illegal. I therefore reject this suspension. I remain an active elder in full connection, and he has no authority to stop me from preaching, from teaching, from counseling. I will continue to perform the function that God has endowed me with. The only person that can stop me is the Lord Jesus Christ, who has called me to ministry. And that is a fire, who has abandoned evangelical biblical teachings of the Bible for liberal and progressive teaching. If you see one of my videos, go on YouTube, you see my video, you shall find it's going on testing the district and telling the district that the moment the same-sex marriage law is passed, we will leave the university. And that was our collective position. But October 2023, Bishop Brown left here in the United States to the Council of Bishop meeting. He came back as a different person. Now, one thing, I don't know what induced it, they gave me. Now he want all of us to abandon our faith. God forbid. By the grace of God, I have been living for Jesus. I gave my life to Jesus personally. For the past 47 years, I've been rising, I've been falling and rising with Jesus. This is not the time for me to abandon Jesus. And Bishop Samuel Quayer will not make me to abandon Jesus. If it's a vision for the United Church, I don't care for it. If it will abandon the Bible, I want to be a Bible Christian. I want to always be known as a Bible Christian. Go and Google me. See what I did 2008 at Miracle. And compel the church to do what he wants the church to do. But know that Bishop Quayer, as a presiding bishop of the Liberian Annual Conference, is not a member of the Liberian Annual Conference. And Bishop Quayer does not have any authority to decide anything for the Liberian Annual Conference that and Anapurna itself has not decided. And so we've been in this stalemate, this impasse since we came. And now what Bishop Edith has decided to do, Bishop Choir has decided to do, is to go ahead and try to silence all the elders in the church who are speaking against same-sex marriage, who are speaking against the for-profit regionalization plan that is designed to regional down the entire denomination so that people can practice Christianity the way they want to practice it according to their culture.
At the same time, Dr. Kula has termed the suspension of several professors, including himself, from the Graduate School of Professional Studies as total setback to the United Methodist University.
One of this disguise to suspend me as the vice president for the School of Graduate Professional Studies. What he has also done as a result of his action is to disadvantage those students because I am teaching two courses and two of my fellow colleagues, Reverend Dr. George Wilson and Reverend Dr. Julius William, who he has also suspended and does not want them to teach in the school yet. The students are being left vulnerable and the students pay their money. This is academic crime to have us now to teach and compelling us to leave the university and leaving the students vulnerable. And so this is what has happened. And then as a result of that, he is taking allegations from folks, to say that because of this allegation, you are suspended. Who were the allegations? One Reverend Caleb Doma and one Reverend Mopan. And this Caleb Doma guy has been lying on my name for since 2022 up to the present. I've complained to the bishop on 4 counts.
Well, he is the vice president of the School of Graduate and Professional Studies at the University of, that's the United Methodist University, Dr. Jerry Kula, there challenging his recent suspension by the bishop of the church, Samuel Choir. A resident of Sikhi community in Dupont Road, Painesville, Blessed Harris, is calling on parents to keep their children off the street on the 29th holiday to avoid shedding tears. Ms. Harris lamented that God specifically told her that the devil has planned accidents, drowning on beaches, children going missing, and other forms of problems aimed at frustrating parents this coming November 29. She disclosed that God told her she will run mad if she fails to explain the revelation to the country. She spoke with the station on Wednesday.
Les Harris and I left city community, they got messages for Liberia. And I decided to come out because if I don't do this, I will run mad. So I said, but God, what this message is too big for me. He said, if you refuse, you will run mad. And I'm not joking. So I decided to come out to let everyone know about it. So I want parents to listen to me on this news. That if you still love your child, and if you still want to be seeing your child, I want you to stop your child to not go out for this Friday that comes, which is November 29, because it will not be easy on a day. He brought a message there on Friday when I left from church to come home. He told me to come into the world to tell parents to stop their children for going out on that day, which is November 29, because if he said that a stubborn fly follow a cup to an early grave. If you refuse to advise a child, or if you take a word for granted, if it happens over your household, you shouldn't say God, why? Because he will not listen to you. He said, because the devil coming with 4 plans on that day, because he know how many souls is planning for that day. And the 4 plans that the devil is coming with, he listened to me that the devil is coming with child losing. Children will lose on that day. And if you don't want your child to fall in that kind of a crap, you need to stop your child to not go on the street on that day. And he said the devil is coming for children to live in water on beaches. And he is serious about it. He said that the devil is coming with pile of acid then. Acid then will be on that day. And he said that the devil is coming with popping. Popping if when your child get into, you can't save your child. And he said that he is not joking about it. The reason you see he's sending me out here to say this to the world, because he still loves us. And you don't want for people to get onto parent heart. So I just want you to believe this message and advise a child before it happens over your household. Let God be with.
Well, she is a resident of CK Community, Port Road, Painesville. Blessed Harris there with that revelation today on Truth FM. If you're just joining us, you are listening to 45 minutes of the latest news from Liberia and other parts of the world. The news desk is 45 minutes packaged about the news and current affairs department here at the Renaissance Communications Incorporated. The top stories we are following tonight. Following heated legal argument on Wednesday, Supreme Court reserves ruling into the petition filed by embattled House Speaker Fanati Kofa challenging his removal without due process. United Methodist University Vice President Dr. Jerry Kula challenges his recent suspension by the presiding bishop of the United Methodist Church, stressing the action is intended to silence critical voices against same-sex marriage in the church. Former presidential candidate Tiawan Gonglo disagrees with President Joseph Boakai on his recent statement that impasse in the House of Representatives is a normal legislative process, says the statement exposes President Boakai's participation in the conflict. And of the home front, incoming World Health Organization Regional Director for Africa dies at age 55, just 3 months after his election to the position. We're taking a short break to be back.
Ria TV, True FM.
Ria TV, True FM.
On Ria TV,
into True FM 96.1.
More news tonight. In an effort to enlighten farmers in carrying out large agricultural activities, the Cooperative Development Agency has kicked off a 2-day refresher training in Painesville. The training, according to CDA Registrar General Luopo Kandakai, is intended to build the capacity of its central and field staff to get on par with their counterparts in other countries.
The appropriate name for this workshop we are having today, refresher course. Refresher course because it is absolutely necessary that after 30 years in the same position, in the same place, speaking the same language, you forget. It gets too much of the everyday thing. So there is a need that we have a refresher course every now and then so that we can be on par with our colleagues and counterparts in other parts of the world. And so I'm very glad for that. At this refresher course, we will also be looking at how do we become proactive. And that's my observation I have made since I came to the CGA, to be proactive. I like to emphasize that. And it is because we have not been refreshing ourselves. And so from here, I would expect that we begin to be proactive. Every time you have to do something, you have to be reminded 100 times. So I hope this workshop, this refresher workshop that we are having will help us with that. Out of this workshop as well, we should be motivated because sometimes you see people are not motivated. And when you are motivated to work, nobody will ask you anything. Proactive. Because why? You are motivated. And sometimes it's not just money that should make you motivated. You should also be motivated because of your love for this career. Some of us just find ourselves here because we're looking for a job. Now, when you are motivated, you will want to excel. You will want to go to another level, like the cooperative development studies. How many of us have thought about that? And so today, I am very happy. I wish we had done this thing ever since.
Giving the overview of the training earlier, CDA Director for Training, Boston Clark, noted that the training seeks to highlight the historical perspective of cooperative, the basic steps in forming cooperatives, good governance, among others.
Training workshop, the capacity training workshop of our field staff for the purpose of training our family-based organization, groups, or others to become a cooperative, and also to equip our new essential staff to be effective training, and also give us a broad idea on our CSA standing order, administrative procedures, and general ministry. When we're talking about cooperative, we talk about a group of farmers coming together as an organization. They are coming from the various counties, the 15 counties. The focus of the training today will actually focus on the historical perspective of the cooperative, the basic step in forming a cooperative, good governance, financial management, the economic benefits of forming a cooperative, and
well, he is the Director of Training at the Cooperative Development Agency, Boston Clark. There, speaking earlier on, you listened to the Registrar General Luopo Kandakai They spoke at the opening of a 2-day refresher training for staff in Painesville. Well, let's join Edwin Batafoyan now to bring us post on news decks tonight. Good evening, Edwin.
Good evening, Margaret, and good evening, everyone. The 2024 LFA Awards Committee, chaired by Ambassador Christopher Hayes Onanunka, has announced the nominees on Thursday, joining Emmanuel Sie, Yaya Belete, and Ishmael Dumuya, among others, as candidate for the Most Valuable Player Award in the First Division League. Belete standout midfielder played a crucial role in having 11 fifth-place finish last season. He contributed to 25 goals, scoring 13 and assisting 12 in 22 matches, accounting for 40% of the team's 65 goals they scored during the season. CAA's debut season in the First Division was equally impressive. The 18-year-old striker scored 18 goals and provided 6 assists into 9 games, helping Watanga FC clinch the First Division title. Currently, the voting rate is at 50% to Emmanuel Sie and 50% to Yaya Belete, with 8 votes being cast. The round 8 of the Liberia Football Association Orange First Division League continued on today, with Leska FC recalling the late win over Discoveries at the Tusa Field in Gandasville. In Buchanan, Grand Bassa County, Mate Barrow suffered another league defeat just after days from defeating Shatta FC. The Calan Pepper Boys bowed down to Bill Mountain in a 3-2 at the Doris Wellon Sports Stadium, while Heaven 11 at the SKD, Heaven 11 recorded a 3-2 victory over Freeport to record their tail win of the league season among 7 on the league log. Struggling Watanga put an end to their winless run when they defeated Global Farmer 3-2 at the D12 field in Nuku Town. On tomorrow, Invincible 11 will be at home against FC Facil, while LPRC orders will welcome Blackman Warriors at the Tusa field. Well, the UEFA Champions League around 5 matches continuing this evening with several results just before coming. Dortmund are ahead of Dynamo Zagreb by a goal to nil, while Real Madrid and Liverpool stay goalless at the Anfield. That's it for this post.
Ria TV, True FM.
Ria TV, True FM. On Ria TV, into True FM.
And for bringing us sports tonight, it is a regular feature here on News Desk. Finally, Representative Smo Moba is calling on his colleagues to distance themselves from what is being referred to as legislative projects. The Massarado County District 3 representative said the legislative project is only intended to promote the executive branch of government, but not the interest of individual lawmakers. Speaking on State Radio Wednesday, Moba argued that the project is just in the name of the legislature, but individual lawmakers have no direct control over its execution.
Development form. We also have social development form that is being controlled by the executive branch of government because of local governance. But there you will find that we have no control. I think it's good that lawmakers take their step from it, because the supervision role they mentioned, no need for lawmakers to have a supervision role. Let the executive control it so that tomorrow the perception of the public can get to the executive and not the legislature. Most often lawmakers want to get in because they want something. It could be fat pockets, which is wrong. Even with the issue of project and taking glory, you will not take the glory because you are not the one doing the project. The project has been outlined by the superintendent. Then we have the advisory council, we have the county council. There are people that supervise the project. When you run through the 2025 budget, I can give you a line what people blame lawmakers. In the budget, you have 2024, the approved budget for lawmakers, also legislature. Under there, you have 52 million plus. That's the projection. That's the figure, approved figure. But then, when you look at the estimate outturn, it tells you 53 million plus. There is a discrepancy there. That needs investigation. When we read the budget we're looking at now, that needs investigation. So we just sit and go along with us without looking at key things. Tomorrow, if anyone from my district reflect in the budget, the next thing we'll be talking about, what's going on here? The lawmaker eating money.
He is Massarado County District 3 Representative Smo Moba there speaking on State Radio today. Well, this is all the time we've got to be with you tonight on News Desk. But before we go, a recap of the top stories we followed. Following heated legal argument on Wednesday, Supreme Court reserves ruling into the petition filed by embattled House Speaker Fanati Kofa challenging his removal without due process. United Methodist University Vice President Dr. Jerry Kula challenges his recent suspension by the presiding bishop of the United Methodist Church, stressing the action is intended to silence critical voices against same-sex marriage in the church. Former presidential candidate and renowned Liberian lawyer Councillor Tiawan Gonglo disagrees with President Joseph Boakai on his statement that the impasse in the House of Representatives is a normal legislative process, says the statement exposes President Boakai's participation in the conflict. And off the home front, incoming World Health Organization Regional Director for Africa dies at age 55, just 3 months after his election to the post. Well, many thanks to all of you for your listening. Real thanks to those who viewed us live on Real TV on Facebook. Thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who helped to make this edition of News Dex a success. Naketa Roberts read for us the news bulletin. Edwin Batafoyan Barras Post tonight. Johnson Batoman Sarah control and coordinated the sound. Thanks to Myean Torgbean who have been behind the cameras. This newscast was proudly sponsored by Orange Liberia and EcoBank Liberia Limited. My name is Marka Davis. Good night.
Real TV, True FM.
Real TV, True FM.
On Real TV,
YouTube, True FM. 96.1.
What's the meaning of the black barrier? The black barrier is to tell Joseph Boakai if you don't organize yourself in a grateful manner, we'll keep your data Liberia.
You might say what you want to say, but for us, we are here to make sure we build our country, that we are respected. We have donors that are coming because of the confidence.
News Summary of 12. My name is Hansen there represent.
Welcome to News and Analysis, 30 minutes of news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and our one world.
Presenting this newscast is proudly sponsored by Orange Liberia and EcoBank Liberia Limited.
How is life after the presidency?
But before the presidency, the same life that what you see. I live a different life. You know, when I was not president, this life that what I live, you know, with my family and
I have a lot of interest in the health sector, the educational sector, and the agriculture sector. Roads, connecting roads in this country.
Yeah, we are calling international community to come to intervene for us because, like I just stated previously, we don't know who to trust.
Always make sure to turn on to our
Real TV and listening to Truth FM 96.1.